This is my intro music. Welcome to the video. I hope you like it lots, so don't forget to subscribe and click the thumbs up button. Now let's react.
All right. Hey, hi, hello there, and welcome to another episode of us talking about Jae Bae. It's been a minute since we talked about Jae Bae on this channel. Many of you have reached out to me and asked me to cover the Jae Bae body cam footage from when she got arrested, and we are going to talk about it. We are going to watch a condensed version of it, not through Omegon, but there is a part of this I want to talk about that Omegon did bring up. And right off the bat, if there's any weird skips in the camera, I apologize. I'm sorry. Anyway, um, if you don't know who Jae Bae is, just real quick and brief, Jae Bae is or was a fat activist. She's most famous for her petition for airlines to basically provide free airfare and airline seats for fat people so they can fly basically for free because they be fat. Cool. Anyway, that was her big deal, and then she had another one that she tried to push through to like make hotels basically magically resize themselves so bigger people could fit into them. The problem being that like everything she demanded in that hotels already do for people with disabilities. So I don't know where that came from or where that was going. It was stupid, and most of her petitions are stupid. And yeah, so there. But it got her attention to her social media and to her TikToks, and so that's why we all know who Jae Bae is. She also does a lot of she used to do a lot of TikToks with her partner, ex-partner, and there you go. So the ex being the important part of this conversation. Uh so I want to say earlier this year, Jae Bae got arrested, and I was covering the hidden channels coverage of Jae Bae's old social media stuff from her TikToks and such. And I kind of stopped because mainly it was boring. So I'll get back to that eventually. And we can jump through it a little bit more just because I feel like I should complete that project because I'm on this mission to complete projects that I've started, whether I really should or not. I don't know, man. It's an ADHD thing. I know I keep saying that, and I do it more just to kind of remind myself than I am doing it to like remind y'all. It's eventually it'll stick. Anyway, but the point being, I was covering old Jae Bae stuff, and I had said during those coverages that I wasn't going to cover Jae Bae's arrest at the time because I didn't know a lot about it. All we really had was the arrest record, and there were some interesting, weird details on the arrest record. And then throughout the year, there have been some little things dropped here and there. Her partner came out, her partner and his family came out, and we were like, we don't know what the hell's going on. Her partner was like, yeah, I don't know because there were some charges of forcible assault, words I can't say on YouTube, some accusations towards him. I think they were towards him, or at the time we thought they were towards him. And basically, he came out on some comment threads. I believe they were on Reddit, and he was just like, I don't know what the hell anybody's talking about. I haven't talked to Jae Bae in months. I wish them the best. I wish Jae Bae the best, but you know we broke up, and I don't talk to Jae Bae anymore. And it was really kind of interesting to read what the ex partner had left as comments on these threads because it sounded like he didn't even know she had been arrested. And it was just kind of interesting because it was like he was like, I'm out of the loop, man. I don't know. I got nothing. So that was kind of interesting. And then, you know, I wasn't really following it terribly, terribly close. There are other reactors who were, so you know, there are other reactors that were. Jae Bae just wasn't a big topic for me. But the body cam footage has come out. A lot of people have covered it. I've only watched 2 people react to it myself. One of them was Nadia Nymph, who we're going to watch the cut down footage of, just because I think Nadia handled it in a very compassionate way, I think is the best way to put that. I saw Sam at Every Size's comment about how she had she had watched the body cam footage, and Sam basically was like, yeah, I don't know how to talk about this in a. Sam tries to insert some kind of humor, it's just to kind of lighten the mood. And Sam was like, yeah, I don't know how I can do that with this footage. It's not funny. And now that I have seen it, I understand what Sam said and I understand what Sam means. We don't necessarily have to be funny over here, so we don't have a reputation for that here. I also watch Omegon, and Omegon has no boundaries. This is one of the reasons we watch him. But while I was watching Omegon talk about the body cam footage from the arrest, he brought up a very important detail that I don't think a lot of reaction channels are or were aware of at the time of their reaction. And I just want to play this little tidbit here because it puts everything into it puts everything into a whole new light. And but also, even knowing this going into watching the footage, there are things that are said by the nurses and the police, especially at the beginning of the body cam footage, that are important to discuss, even in light of this new information that Omegon's going to give us here. So we're going to watch this, just a clip from Omegon here. I apologize ahead of time. Omegon is not everybody's cup of tea. He is a little abrasive, and that's just how he is. I do not apologize for that, but I will warn you guys, if you know who Meg is and you don't like his stuff, I don't know what to tell you. But we're gonna watch this little clip because he may not be the only person who has mentioned this. He's just the only channel I've heard it out of because it's the only channel I've watched. I've watched him and Nadia Nymph. I know a lot of other channels have covered it. I know Alona's or Chikara Transformations has covered it. I know Fit and Full Fat has covered it. I have not watched either of them. And I know other channels have covered it who I typically do watch. I have not watched those channels either. So if one of the other channels has covered this, I don't know. So that was a cat hair. All right, we're going to watch this clip real fast. I am not sped it up, and it's not very long. So enough suspense. All right. Omegon, take us away.
So this is the part where I have to insert that there is something medically wrong with Jae Bae in the form of sepsis. It took a while for them to be able to diagnose it because of the requirement for inpatient evaluation. The delirium was caused due to sepsis and an unspecified personality disorder and PTSD. The problem she has is that it was hard for them to get that information until she was inpatient, because it wasn't until March that she was moved to a hospital because she refused to be treated, or treated as incompetent to be able to ascertain what was wrong with her. So while what happens next is humorous, we do have to bear that in mind going forward.
Okay. So what appears to have happened, I know we're going to pause here with this poor suffering police officer. We're going to back up a little bit. This man, these poor cops. I don't usually say that. I do not usually say that. All right. So what Omegon's pointing out is that during this episode that we're watching, during the arrest of Jae Bae right now, she is apparently suffering from sepsis, but no one knows that. No one knows this because she is untreatable due to several factors, it looks and sounds like. One of which being her belligerence right now. She, at this point, has been trespassed from one hospital. This is her being trespassed from a second hospital. And we'll watch Nadia's cut down of this, and I'll insert some things that I remember from Omegon's cut down, because I don't think Omegon cuts anything out of this. but his video is also like an hour long, and I don't really want to watch it. I don't want to react to his hour-long video and this video because this one's already going to be long because I have things to say. So there we go. Where was I going with this? Okay, so anyway, but her suffering from sepsis does kind of explain some of the weird things that she says at the beginning of the video, and we might watch a little bit more of this just at the beginning of his, just because I think Nadia cuts that out of hers. But anyhow, and Nadia doesn't know. In Nadia's video, doesn't know that, or doesn't appear to know that Jae Bae is suffering from sepsis. And sepsis, if you don't know, can affect your mental stability and can cause delirium and delusions and mental instability. It's not great. It can do a lot of things. It could be very, very bad. So the fact that she was suffering from it and wasn't diagnosed until March is like, yikes. Like I do feel sorry for Jae Bae if she was suffering from sepsis that long. But yeah, it's we can go, oh my god, the American healthcare system. Okay, sure. Because yeah. But at the same time, the biggest issues for why Jae Bae didn't get diagnosed sooner and treated sooner weren't really the American healthcare system. It really came down to the fact that Jae Bae's 550 pounds and she's too big for the for the hospitals around her. And you'll hear that at the beginning of the body cam footage, when the police officers first show up and they're talking with the nurses and they're trying to figure out what to do with Jae Bae because she's being removed from the hospital that she's in, which she had been brought to from another hospital. So they basically don't have any facilities that can take her. One, because she's being so belligerent to the point of what it sounds like, and I'm just guessing. There's a difference between having a belligerent patient and having an abusive patient. And to my knowledge, nurses will put up with a lot. There is a point. There is a point where you are above and beyond, and the hospital staff will have you removed. And you really got to be trying. And a lot of times it really does come down to like you are being physical with the staff. It's not just you're being verbal. And I do understand that there's a point where you're being too verbal and they probably will toss your ass then too. But if you're being resistant to treatment and you're being verbally abusive and you're being physically abusive, what are they going to do? They can't help you. What are they going to do? And if you're being a danger to the staff and to other patients, I mean, I hate to be heartless, but they need to take other patients into consideration and also their own safety. And it sounds like that's what was happening. I don't know. I wasn't there. But considering she had already been moved out of one hospital and brought to this hospital, and now this hospital was like, yeah, you got to go. It sounds like she was kind of getting above and beyond. All right. So before people are like, oh my God, I can't believe the hospital's throwing her out. It's not that the hospital was like, ugh, and they just threw her out. It gets to a point, right? So anyway, just clarifying that point as well. So made sure you all are aware that she was suffering from sepsis, and no one knew that. Jae Bae didn't even know. No one knew she was suffering from sepsis. It took until March for her to get diagnosed. Mostly it had to do with the fact that she's just too big. She's too obese for the medical system around her to have been able to diagnose her. She was resistant to treatment up until March. Even her own dad, you'll find out, was like, yeah, nah, I'm not dealing with this shit anymore. Which opens up a whole other conversation that we'll get to. The police are aware of who Jae Bae is, which kind of says that they've dealt with her prior to this episode, which also means that she's not unfamiliar to law enforcement. So even before we can blame sepsis, Jae Bae's got a history of butting up with the cops. And the nurse seems familiar with Jae Bae, which means she's been in the medical system, or at least at that hospital, before, which means there has been episodes before this episode of sepsis. Not saying she's had sepsis before, I'm just saying she's been in this hospital multiple times before this episode as well. So that's also something we're going to talk about here in a minute. So, yes, this arrest is unfortunate. And you'll hear in Nadia's video that Nadia is a little disturbed watching it. And Sam is correct that it's not funny. It seems weird. It seems funny. And without context, you might think it's funny because she does say some weird shit. She really does say some weird stuff. She really does behave in some very strange ways. And like, you might want to giggle out of just like, whoa, that's just strange. Like it's uncomfortable. You're gonna get an uncomfortable giggle out of it because you're just like, I don't know what else to do. But the reality of the situation is she is suffering because she's untreatable. And she's untreatable because of her obesity. And this is fat acceptance. Well, not Omegon, but Jae Bae is an advocate for fat acceptance. Jae Bae insists that her health issues have nothing to do with her obesity. Jae Bae is constantly telling people on her social media that the fact that she has to have oxygen has nothing to do with the fact that she's pushing 600 pounds. Her mobility issues have nothing to do with her being close to 600 pounds. Like, Jae Bae insists on these things, right? But the medical end of this is saying, you are literally too big for us to diagnose and treat you. And then on top of it, she herself and since no one can, she becomes, refuses treatment until around March of this year. And that I feel like was like a month or so. I feel like she got arrested somewhere around February-ish. So that was a lot of time to be suffering. But anyway, getting ahead of myself. All right, so we heard Omegon here tell us about the sepsis. Ta-da! All right, this is Nadia Nymph. I like her videos. She's been gone for a while, but she's back, and hopefully make some more videos. I like her style of video. But this is when a fat influencer gets arrested. The arrest of Jae Bae. It's only a 12-minute video. Hopefully we can get through it quickly. Nadia has cut this down. She does have her own opinions kind of scattered into here. I think she hits on all the really important parts. If I feel like there's a section that needs a little bit more explanation, I think might be the word I'm looking for, we'll hop back over to Omegon's video because he does, I think, have the entire body cam footage up to a point, up to where Jae Bae actually literally gets hauled into the vehicle, the police vehicle. That's a whole thing. That's a whole other uncomfortable thing we can talk about. So, yeah. All right. Before we get into any more of this, I know we're 20 minutes in. If this is not your thing, I completely understand. Feel free to click off. It's perfectly understandable. This is not one of those kind of videos. So you've been warned from here on out. If you continue to watch, you're clearly here for a reason. So I'm also not going to be poking a lot of fun. So if you're here to like watch somebody make fun of a fat person who's in duress, that's not that kind of a video. I think I've made that pretty clear. And yeah, all right. So let's get into this.
Jae Bae, specifically her arrest, because the footage has been released. It's really hard to watch if I'm being honest, but I want to talk about it. I might talk about it in a few different videos because there's just so much to unpack in it. But for today, I just want to go over generally what happened and the way that her size completely changed the situation that she was in.
How did you get up here? Did she come from Catholic?
The corner right next to Catholic, she called 911.
I'm gonna see if I can't. Let me see if I can start that over because I think the closed captions will catch this. But first off, the police officer whose body cam we're watching, he's talking to the nurse here, and he was asking her how Jae Bae got to the hospital. And apparently Jae Bae had already been removed from the other hospital. It was, I guess the name of it's Catholic, probably something. And the nurse is saying, yes, she called from the corner next to Catholic. She called 911.
And emergency fire was like, we can't take her anywhere else. And I was like, no, that's fine, bring her here. And she was fine for a while, but now she's getting amped up and just being very verbally aggressive towards the staff.
It's a bit hard to hear, but basically we hear this nurse say that Jae Bae is being verbally aggressive with them and they don't want to deal with her.
So,
I know it sounds very casual to be saying that, but you do have to understand what nurses put up with, what medical staff puts up with on a daily basis. So when they say that Jae Bae's being verbally aggressive, you do have to understand that it's more than just her saying, no, I don't want to do that. It's more than that. So I don't want people to be like, oh my God, this nurse, she just can't take, some insults and that kind of thing. It's not that. It's worse than that. I just want you guys to kind of understand that. If you've ever, I know some of you people are nurses. I know some of you do work in the hospitals and that kind of stuff. So I know you all understand, but I know a lot of you aren't, and you may not have nurses and stuff in your family or whatnot. So I just want you people to understand. I know that came out really bad. I just want people to understand. This isn't just Jae Bae's in there cussing and swearing. Jae Bae's in there being really aggressive. All right. For her to be tossed out of one hospital, this woman originally was like, yeah, it's okay. She can come here. And then she says after Jae Bae got here, she was fine for a little while. And then she began to get verbally aggressive with the entire staff. So they could not basically find anyone to calm Jae Bae down. So she just was progressively getting more and more out of hand. And they can't get her to calm down. So she's becoming more aggressive the longer she's there. So she's becoming more of a danger the longer she's there.
Ramos has dealt with her before and has a number to her dad. So
this is a very important detail. This cop, I forget who his name is. We'll find. They'll mention it in a bit. Ramos is a different cop. We will meet him in a minute. I guess I should say officer. Ramos is a different officer. We will meet him in a little bit. This guy says Ramos has dealt with her, Jae Bae, before and has a number to her dad. Now, I said at the beginning, this incident, Jae Bae is suffering from sepsis. No one knows this, not even Jae Bae. No one here knows what's happening yet. Right? They won't find out for, I think, at least a month at this point. But that being said, her dad, her dad is on a last name basis with a police officer on the force. This officer Ramos has her father's personal number because they have dealt with Jae Bae enough times, and maybe it's only once, but that's enough that Ramos has her father's phone number, knows her, and knows her father's phone number to call him when they have to deal with Jae Bae. So this isn't like a one-off. This isn't this one time Jae Bae's in the hospital and Jae Bae's being a problem child. This is a reoccurring problem. Maybe not reoccurring, they have to remove her from hospitals, but it is a reoccurring event that Jae Bae is a problem with the law to the point where Ramos knows who she is, and this officer Ramos knows who her father is, and her father's phone number is in Ramos's roster of numbers to call. They know Jae Bae, is my point. So, and this guy knows that Ramos knows Jae Bae. They know Jae Bae, is my point. You gonna sit there pretty?
Do you want to talk about Jae Bae? Did you want to talk about Jae Bae? Did you? Do you have opinions too? I have opinions. They're very important opinions.
All right. So I just wanted to kind of point out that this is not an isolated incident for Jae Bae and the police. That she's on not a first name basis, but a named basis with these officers.
Basically, she meets like Crisis is aware, she meets criteria, but no one can deal with her because of her size.
Sure.
So he's calling her dad on the way up here to see if, because apparently he came and picked her up once before.
It doesn't take long to learn that actually her dad will not come to pick her up. She has burned a bridge with him to the point that he won't even come to the hospital in this situation.
Dad will not come. She burned her bridges.
Oh, okay.
So this guy in the glasses is Ramos. He has attempted to call her father, and he's been informed by the father that he is not coming. Ramos even says she's burned her bridges and the father will not come. Now, I think we're going to jump over to Omegon real fast because there's a... Okay, I need you to stop now. Thanks. There's a part that is a little revealing to watch that I think occurs in between... Yes, darling. In between that and this. Bye. See you right when you get work. Let me hop back here. Okay, so we're gonna jump back here to Omegon's video. So this isn't going to be a perfect jump. He's gonna talk a little bit before we get into the actual video, but hang on real fast. Better. But I want us to watch the initial clip of, I think his name's Lile, the officer Lile, when he talks to Jalen to begin with, because her state of mind when she very first speaks with the cops is very telling. And it explains later why he had said to the nurse that she qualified for assistance, but she can't go because she's too big for the facilities. They can't treat her because she's too obese. They don't have the facilities to take care of her.
Gyms included. So let's see how it goes with the police.
My name's Officer Lay with Kennewick PD.
Hi, I'm Jalen.
What's your name?
IGR. Well, my birth name is Jalen.
Okay.
IGR.
Okay.
Born on.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I filed many reports. Well, I've been trying to file many reports.
Okay.
Actually, what started here when they hired a fake actor.
Okay.
That was really cool to come in and stuff. But I could tell you all about it down at the police department if you want.
What do we think the odds?
So, Jalen is trying to get arrested. Like, she's trying to get them to arrest her because she wants them to take her to the police station. I am not entirely sure why. I think it's because she knows she can't stay at the hospital, but she also knows she has nowhere else to go. So as far as that particular motive, I'm not entirely sure. It's weird watching this because it's clear that there are moments where she fully understands what is happening. But like in this clip, she says, what does she say? She says, I've been trying to file many reports. Actually, what started here when they hired a fake actor that was really cool to come in and stuff. And she says, but then I could tell you about it down at the police department if you want. She has been filing reports and someone has come in to take her account. And we'll talk about, she'll talk about the reports here in a second. But she thinks that whoever that was an actor. So she thinks the people that she has been talking to up to this point have all been actors that have someone is hiring to come talk to her. So that just kind of is like, oh, that was a weird thing to say. Don't get me wrong, Omegon buries the lead. So we don't know till much later that she's suffering from sepsis. So I'm trying to jump past Omegon's commentary because I'll put his video down in the link. You really should go watch it. Please do go watch it. But like I said, he's not everyone's cup of tea.
I don't know. I thought I was being called here because I thought I was having a mental health crisis because
Okay.
they made me seem that way.
Okay.
But they know what they're doing, and unfortunately, these paid actors are now involved. I've tried to let them know that they should have left, but
Okay. So
they
what's going on
decided to
today,
stay.
Jalen?
I called the FBI. I needed crisis. I had my SARC stuff that was getting
Okay.
done at Cadillac, which I figured out is where I was kidnapped from the first, or I was born there.
So there's
So again, I don't know. You can do it. I believe in you. Back it up. Here we go. So again, she says, I've called the FBI. She's done something with a SARC's kit. I think that's a testing kit you do after you think you have been assaulted. Again, words I can't say on YouTube. So she's tried to do a kit like that. She thinks she's contacted the FBI. She believes that there are paid actors that are coming down here. She thinks she's been kidnapped from the other hospital, or she was kidnapped and taken to that hospital. I can't quite figure that out. And then she says, I was kidnapped from the first, or where I was born there. I don't understand that statement either. But knowing what I know now, all of this, and she's speaking so clearly, right? She's speaking so clearly and she's speaking so with it. Knowing what I know, this all makes sense. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but her behavior, her clarity of speech, her assuredness, like she is sure this is what happened. She says, I thought I was having a mental break, but that's just what they wanted me to believe. Well, you are in a mental crisis. We just didn't know it. No one knew it at the time, right? Yeah. Now, again, earlier, the police officer, when he was speaking with the nurse, said she does qualify for crisis, but the centers can't take her because of her size, right? So they know she qualifies, but she can't get help because she's too big. This is terrifying to me. And Nadia will go into this. So it's not even like a failing of the medical system at this point. It's just literally, this is the terrifying thing. And this is so scary to me. Jae Bae has literally eaten herself out of the ability for the medical system to care for her, right? She has made herself so obese, she cannot even get help in a time of crisis. She has made herself so obese that it takes weeks, months to get diagnosed with sepsis, which is causing her to have this mental break this time. I don't know what she's running with the law in the past, but she has, because they know who she is. They know who her father is. They've made calls to him in the past. The hospital staff seems to know who she is from past experiences. It's just this time she happens to be suffering from sepsis. But she's, in a way, done this to herself. And because of it, the medical system is unfortunately failing her because it can't help her. This is fat acceptance, right? This is the part of fat acceptance that everybody continuously is like, y'all are delusional. You're not healthy. There's no such thing as health at every size. This is what you're fucking looking forward to if you keep going down the road you're going down. This is an extreme case, right? Not everybody's going to have this. Not everybody's going to get sepsis and have a mental break like this, but some of you are. Jae Bae did. If it happened to Jae Bae, it can happen to others. You know? Why risk it? Anyway, we're back on Nadia's video again.
She said that he tried to help her out, try to contact Crisis as well.
So right at the beginning here, we learn that not only are the police familiar with Jae Bae, which says something in and of itself, but I think it's important to note that the cop here acknowledged that she actually qualified for crisis intervention, which I think she clearly needs. But as the cop noted, the reason she can't get the crisis intervention she desperately needs is because of her size and their inability to manage her at that size.
Well, you won't get to keep the wheelchair because it belongs to the hospital.
So, do you guys have like an ambulance you can take these people?
Nope, you would be able to walk yourself.
Oh, okay, well I can't.
Yes, you can. I've seen you do it multiple times.
The one saying, yes, you can, I've seen you do it multiple times, that's Ramos. So again, that's reinforcing that she and Ramos have some kind of history. And it gets weirder and more reinforced that she and Ramos have history when the actual arrest occurs. Because we're not there yet. This isn't the arrest. It does get weird. This isn't even the weird part yet.
I need medical attention.
It's pretty obvious that the cops dealing with Jae Bae are tired of dealing with Jae Bae, and I get it to an extent. They have a really stressful job, and dealing with someone like Jae Bae in a mental health crisis at her size, it's a big task. And part of what really starts to irritate them is her helplessness. She doesn't want to walk. She doesn't want to get out of the wheelchair. She doesn't even want to dial phone numbers by herself.
Boom, here we go. Hit the thing. Can you hit the thing?
This clip that Nadia is showing you, again, Nadia has cut this down. It looks like you can go to the channel Bodycam and watch the whole video itself. But Nadia's cut this down. Even Omegon cut it down. He mentioned he cut this part down. Jae Bae is stalling for time here. They tell her that her father's not going to come get her, and she basically has nowhere to go. So she's trying to find, she tells them she's trying to find somewhere else to go. They are giving her the opportunity to call some other locations or someone to come get her, or someplace where they, I guess, will take her. I don't know if they offered her a ride. I highly doubt they offered to take her anywhere. But the point is, they're giving her the opportunity to find somewhere to go. And this is a much longer clip of her stalling and pretending like she can't figure out how to use the phone. At one point, one of the nurses comes over and teaches her how to dial out. And the phone works fine for the nurse, and Jae Bae pretends like the phone doesn't work. And like I said, it's a much longer clip. Nadia just has a little bit of it here. So this is the point where they're really getting fed up with her. And at one point, they basically are just like, okay, you're clearly not making phone calls, so you're done. And they take the phone away from her effectively, because she's not doing what they want her to do. You know, she basically runs her time out.
Do I only get one call?
Can you come?
Yeah.
Make those.
Oh. 509.
So dial 9 first to get an outside line.
Oh, yeah. See, the phone's not working for me.
We're on Ramos's body cam at this point, I do believe, because this is Officer Lile.
Try it again. Here, I'll have you push the buttons. Ready?
No, you're an adult. You can push them by yourself.
I can't. It's not working when I do it.
I have a little bit of mixed feelings here because I'm honestly not sure if Jae Bae is really mentally there enough to be making phone calls for herself, as bad as that sounds to say, really I'm just keeping in mind the fact that the cops have already clarified that she actually meets the criteria for crisis intervention. Regardless, she decides that when the cops won't help her with the phone, that she'll just dial 911.
I feel what Nadia's saying here in that, yeah, this is arrest cam. I think it's CAM. I'll see if I can't hunt the channel down and put it in the description down below. But the point is I get what Nadia's saying. I also feel like this is one of those points where I was saying, you know, there's times where you can tell that Jae Bae is aware of what is Jae Bae is aware of what is going on around her. She knows these are the police. She knows she's dealing with the police, like, because she recognizes them. She at least recognizes Ramos, right? I don't know if she recognizes Lile because he introduced himself. So I'm guessing the two of them don't know each other, but she knows Ramos, right? So she knows she's talking to the police. She knows she's stalling for time. So on the one hand, I know now what's happening with her right now, but also I know that she's aware of her situation, at least as far as she knows she's getting booted out of this hospital and she knows she has to leave. And later you will see that she doesn't want to leave. And that's basically what this is. She doesn't want to leave this hospital. And so she's trying to buy time. I don't know for what. I don't know what she thinks she's going to do. But she's trying to achieve one of two goals. She's either trying to get arrested or she's trying to stay in the hospital. And Nadia says here, when the cops won't help her dial phone numbers, because I don't think she has a number to call, to be perfectly honest with you, but that's my personal take. She dials 911, and you'll see what the cop says here, but she knows that that's going to incur a penalty. And again, she's trying to get arrested because those are her two options: stay in the hospital, get arrested.
Seem fun. If you do that, you're just going to get a ticket then.
Hi, I'm at Trio Southridge Hospital. You have Wallison and Ramos here with me. I need to get arrested at this point because I have a lot to tell you about them.
So Jae Bae's just really not in a good position here. Okay, her dad doesn't want to come pick her up because she's apparently burned that bridge. The cops are frustrated with her. She has been trespassed now from both hospitals in her area, we learn in the video. And we know that apparently the crisis intervention is unable to manage her because of her size. So with nowhere else to go, it seems like she's identified that getting arrested is her best option, which does tell me that she's at least a bit cognizant, but clearly there is a lot going on here with her.
Hey, I'm not leaving, I'm naked.
Now, again, Nadia doesn't know what we know. I don't know how many reaction channels at this point that these videos started coming out. I don't know, because this was 2 days ago. I should probably get the date going. I need to do that earlier in the video. This was from October 17th, and today is October the 20th. I don't know how many reaction channels knew Jae Bae had sepsis, because this is, well, Omegon's video went up on the 17th, but he's also in Britain somewhere. I know he's told the audiences where he's from. I have a brain that's roughly made of Swiss cheese. I don't recall exactly, but the point is he could have been at any point. Right. So he knew, but I don't know how many other people knew. And I don't, just going off of how Nadia's talking, I'm pretty sure she didn't know. But Nadia has picked up on there is something wrong, right? But even Omegon, knowing that Jae Bae is suffering from sepsis, is like, yeah, there's definitely parts of Jae Bae's actual personality that are making it through. And I do believe that this is part of that personality. This is actually Jae Bae. I think earlier, even when she was talking about the actors who were coming to convince her that she was, you know, having a mental break, but she really wasn't. I mean, I know that sounds weird, and it is, but I think the way she was stating it and the way she was reacting to it, I think that's Jae Bae's personality. very confrontational, very condescending. You know, that's Jae Bae's personality. Now, the conclusions she was drawing from the delusion itself, that's the sepsis. But the way she's handling it, that's her personality, right? And keep in mind, I think this is Ramos here. She has a history. This dude knows her, right? This guy's learning who she is, you know? So, excuse me. She's making new friends.
You're covered. You have all kinds of
Please don't
clothing.
let this happen, dude.
To clarify just a bit here, the hospital staff informed the cops earlier in the cam that Jae Bae showed up without clothes. I think she was in a hospital gown already with nothing underneath it.
Hey, no, this is my evidence.
Yeah,
Get the
we're going
out
off
now.
with you. Let's go.
Get the out now.
Let's go. Let's go.
Get the out now.
Let's go.
Okay, I need
That way.
this is why I came to Trios. This is
That
I
way.
knew you guys would do this.
That way.
They don't want to help you.
These little green bags that the officers have, those are Jae Bae's possessions that she had when she got there. So there's also a clip with the nurses. I wonder if I can find it on let me see if I can find it over here with Omegon's video. Okay, so we're back on Omegon's video here, and this was earlier before they start really confronting Jae Bae, but they're talking to one of the nurses. I think she's one of the head nurses. I don't know. But she is one of the other nurses that is involved and has been dealing with Jae Bae. And I don't know who this officer is. He's officer. I don't know. This is, I do believe, Ramos. Actually, you can even see this is Officer Ramos. I can't read this dude's name. So there you go. So we are still on Officer Lile's body cam, I think. I don't know how many officers there are. I'm going to guess we're still on Lile's body cam. But anyway, this is this nurse explaining to the officers about how Jae Bae arrived at the hospital that she's at currently, which is kind of an important detail now that we're watching her get dragged out.
Is that your guys' wheelchair?
Yes. She has no clothes on, just so you know.
Did she come in that way?
Mm-hmm.
How'd she get it?
Ambulance.
From Catholic.
Lords.
She's got the company hospital.
She's got her ticket out. She knows exactly what she's doing.
Hold up.
So what the nurse is implying is that Jae Bae purposefully got it so that she would be picked up from the other hospital naked. Now, I don't know if that means that Jae Bae was at, I think the other hospital is called Catholic, or it's just the short name for it is Catholic. I don't know if that implies that Jae Bae was at Catholic naked. I don't know. I don't know what boards means. I don't know if that means she was brought in on a board. People who drive ambulances might understand what that lingo means. I don't. Because he asks, how did she get here? Ambulance from Catholic boards. I don't know what that means. But the nurse is implying that Jae Bae was intentionally naked when she arrived, which kind of also implies that the first nurse we were talking to said that Jae Bae had called from the corner of the street. So she had called from like a payphone or something. So she was already out of the hospital. They didn't get her from the hospital. She called from the corner. So I have a lot of questions. And as heartless as I know hospitals can be at times, I just don't believe that they would just boot her ass out naked. I really feel like, because these people don't, I really feel like they would have given her something to cover herself with. So when the nurse says, I'm sure that's exactly what she's doing, kind of implying that, or she knows exactly what she's doing, it kind of implies that Jae Bae did this intentionally. Now, again, keep in mind, she is also suffering. No one knows. I have to keep reiterating that. We know now, but no one else knew then. So there's a level of calculation that's occurring here along with the delusion, right? And then Jae Bae gets to this hospital and starts telling this hospital that she was kidnapped and that she wants a SARCs test run, which is a test that you run after you think you've been violated. If that makes sense. So there's a lot happening here. And none of it's funny. It's a lot. And it's all in I can't tell what part of this is in Jae Bae's head and what part of this is calculation on Jae Bae's behalf, right? Either way, it's not working. And that's what makes it even scarier, because the cops and the nurses are both like it, which also kind of makes you wonder, like, how many other people try to pull similar things, like, because it's not like Jae Bae's the first person to try this shit, you know? This isn't like, oh my God, this person is the first person ever to do this. Clearly, this is something that occurs in some form or fashion with other people, to the point where the nurses and the police officers are like, yeah, it's this happening again. It's not like, oh, it's this person. It's like, oh yeah, no, this scenario is happening again. So how frequent is this? How frequently does this happen? That's the part I'm like, that's weird, man. We really need to, like, maybe revamp our mental health system here, like a lot, because, like, these are not the people who should be dealing with that. Not that I don't think they're capable. It's just like we should have a different system. But, you know, that's a whole other fucking conversation to be having. Anyway, this is back on to Nadia's video.
You've burnt the bridge, unfortunately.
Yeah.
This
Keep in
is
mind,
one of those moments
they
that
don't
was
know.
hard to watch for me. It's very uncomfortable to put yourself in her position and imagine being wheeled out of a hospital sort of against your wishes and physically not being able to do anything about it because you're 550 pounds. But
What's happening right here in the wheelchair, Jae Bae has this yellow piece of paper. There's a better explanation for it in Omegon's video. We're not going to jump over there. You guys can go watch it. I highly recommend you do. Jae Bae has been given a report of trespass or whatever. She's been basically handed paperwork about trespass. She's being told that she can't come back to this property for like 99 years or something like that. She's no longer welcome. And again, she's trying to get arrested, right? And so in her head, she thinks if she rips up this trespass, this notice of trespass, that they'll arrest her. And so that's what she's doing right now. This trespass, this yellow trespass warning, she's ripping it up while they're wheeling her out. So she's throwing a temper tantrum, basically, but it's in an attempt to get them to arrest her, because that's from this point forward. Everything she does from this point forward is to try to get arrested. And eventually it works, obviously, because we know she gets arrested. I know, spoilers. But from this point forward, if you remember the arrest record and how it had some really interesting things on it, one of which I do believe was assault of an officer, it does make those weird charges that got tacked on there. There was a lot of little things that got tacked on to her arrest record. Words. From this point forward, those all start to make sense. Because I remember when I was looking at it, I was just like, there's a lot here. It all makes sense from this point forward, even with Nadia's cut down of it. So, we're 4 minutes in. I'm actually going to speed us up to, I'm just going to jump us forward a little bit and just kind of tell you guys what's happening. So this is Ramos pulling her out. This is Lile. I think I'm saying his name right. I'm sorry if I'm not. This is Officer Lile carrying the green bags are, again, her personal items. I don't know what's in there, but he's carrying her personal items with him. She refuses to walk. Technically, she's not supposed to keep the wheelchair. I think at this point, the hospital's like, just get her out. And you can see her behavior. Now, when I talk about how she's like above and beyond, you will see the behavior that I'm talking about as she continues to get confrontational with the police. All right, so she's pretty calm right around here as they continue to get her out. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to get her to the property line of the hospital. Symbolically, that means she's off the property, right? And while they're wheeling her through the parking lot, she starts shouting at the top of her lungs about Ramos, mostly because I think that's the only person she knows. She starts accusing him of putting his hands on her in adult ways. She starts shouting various protest chants about cops. She starts calling them names, which are strange names to be calling people, especially when you're supposed to be this super uber inclusive ally. Derogatory names that you would not refer to people as, like words I've not ever used, words I haven't heard used in a long time. She starts throwing around. She starts telling Ramos that he's going to go to prison where he's going to get butt violated. She threatens his family. Yeah. It's something. And it's all because she's A, I think, trying to get arrested, and B, doesn't want to be removed from the property. And once it finally clicks that they are taking her off the property, does she finally stand? Yeah.
Oh, so I can
Perfect.
again.
Now you can walk. Go that way.
There she goes.
Go that way.
Arrest me.
Go that way. No.
Arrest me.
Nope.
So once again, she is asking to get arrested. The cops don't want to arrest her. She ends up verbally threatening them and striking one of them, and that's how she ultimately ends up in cuffs.
She literally threatens to kill them. So that's typically a no-no. No matter where you are, you're just not allowed to do that. Even if it's just a verbal thing, you're just not supposed to do that. I don't know many cops who just let that go. It's just a thing you're not supposed to do. We can have debates about this all day long, but the point is you're just not supposed to do it, and it typically doesn't get a good reaction. And then she also physically hits them. So I think it's Lile she actually ends up hitting. I lose track of where Ramos is. So it might be Ramos that she actually ends up hitting. I don't know. So they end up cuffing her. I will make mention of the fact, because I know God and everyone has mentioned it, it takes 3 sets of cuffs to put her in cuffs. They have to put 1 set on one wrist, 1 set on another, and a 3rd set in between the 2. Fat acceptance. That's all I'm going to say. So that's how they get her cuffed. And the thing is, yeah, and then she starts making more essay claims against the cops. Once you're in cuffs, they don't typically take you out until you get to wherever the hell they're taking you. And I don't particularly know all of the reasons for that. I just know once you're in cuffs, you're typically in cuffs until you're not. And there are very, very few reasons why they will take you out of cuffs. And they refuse to take her out of cuffs from this point forward, which leads to some very embarrassing, some very difficult to watch footage. We're gonna jump through it. Again, if you go watch Omegon's video, I warn you ahead of time, he's not everyone's cup of tea. All right. Nadia handles this a lot more delicately. I will link both of them down below. So there you go. But we're just going to kind of jump through it ourselves. But yes, they have handcuffed her. She continues to threaten them. This is Nadia explaining what the SART kits are. And also, again, mentioning that there's clearly something not right with Jae Bae. Well, we learn what wasn't right with Jae Bae. Now, they managed to get Jae Bae almost to the car, and I am not entirely sure what happens here because I can't really tell if she didn't fit in the back seat and she kind of stumbled and fell because she didn't fit, or if she did the whole passive aggressive sitting down because I don't want to go thing, which doesn't make sense because she wanted to be arrested. So I don't know exactly what happened, but one way or the other, she fell and she's on her butt. And I mean, it's like she's down. And here's the trick. She is a 550-pound woman. And I mean, these two guys are not in shape, which is, good, but they can't get her up. And this is where that whole, like, once you're in cuffs thing, they will not unhandcuff her. So she can't get herself up. She probably could, but she won't. It's hard to get up with your hands behind your back, especially if you're not in shape. Well, yeah, it's hard to get up with your hands behind your back. I mean, give it a try. And then imagine you're a 550-pound woman who has mobility issues. Then try to get up with your hands behind your back. So they have issues getting her up off the ground. It doesn't happen. They're arresting her. She is officially under arrest. She clarifies that. The guy, one of the not Ramos cop mentions that she does have the right to remain silent, and he wishes that she would do so. That was actually, sorry, that one was a little funny.
Stand up.
Hold on.
Again, I have some mixed feelings here about.
I don't think I didn't see them laugh, but I think one of them kind of like does the whole like Jesus Christ chuckle kind of a thing. Like the this is my life, I'm regretting my choices kind of a giggle thing that you do where you're just like, fuck, I don't think they were laughing at her, but your interpretation, whatever. But yeah, so she's down. They can't get her up. Did they call the fire department? Oh, they call a doctor before they call for more assistance. And Jae Bae tried. Now I find this out through Omegon's video, not through Nadia, because again, Nadia cuts this down a lot, and that's fine. But they call a doctor out. The doctor comes over. Jae Bae tries to get the doctor to readmit her. And the doctor comes over very quickly, checks her, makes sure she's not in any kind of actual duress, like heart duress or breathing problems or anything like that. There's no way to know she's in sepsis at this point. But, from his real quick looking her over, she's not having any problems breathing. Her heart rate apparently is fine. He's like, you're not bleeding to death. You're good. And he leaves. He will not admit her. And she starts screaming 911 at him or something like that. So she tries to get readmitted into the hospital. The doctor will not have it. And that's all the cops have to do to meet that requirement to provide medical aid to her to make sure she's okay. And then they call in another group of officers to help get her into a vehicle so that they can arrest her. And the solution that they come up with is just, it's a thing. It's a whole fucking thing. And it's just like, this is fat acceptance. Even Nadia says this at the end of her own video. This is what happened. This is fat acceptance, right? Not these guys. This is what this is her verifying that she is actually arrested. Yeah. These are the other officers that they call, and this is the paddy wagon. They actually call a full-ass paddy wagon to come get her because they can't get her upright. All right. So, I told you guys this was going to take forever. So they bring out this tarp, and their solution is, and she's being unhelpful, right? She's not trying to assist them in any way with trying to stand up to, she's doing the whole like I'm jelly. She's spouting weird pseudo biblical verses and prayers and things at them. It's strange. It just gets weirder. Again, she's shouting slurs at them and things like that. She's not being helpful. So, since she refuses to get up or have them help her get up, they put this tarp down and they roll her onto the tarp. And the way that her final position on the tarp is face down, which I don't know who thought that was a good idea, but that's how they got her. And there's what, 5 of them, 6 of them? And then they pick her up and they carry her on this tarp face down into the back of the paddy wagon, and they slide her face down into the back of the paddy wagon, and that's how they get her into the back of the wagon. And the whole time she's screaming about how she can't breathe, and she's yelling about, she starts counting. Yeah, she starts counting or something. I don't know what she's doing here with the numbers. It didn't make sense on either channel that I watched. Maybe it makes sense to somebody else. If you know, let me know down below. Maybe she was like trying to recite a number. I don't know. Either way, they get her into the back of the vehicle. And that's basically where everybody has ended their videos, because I guess from this point they drive her to the station, and she's formally arrested. So this is the arrest this is the arrest footage. All right. Yeah. Just some CC coverage of her, the nice things she has to say to the cops.
Officer did say she met the criteria for crisis intervention. I don't fully understand the logistics of why crisis intervention couldn't help her here. All we know is that the officer said it was because of her size and their inability to manage her at that size. But based on the behavior we witnessed, I really do think that would have been appropriate for her in this situation.
All right, they did eventually get her sitting up, because that was my next question. Is like, did she stay that way the whole ride? But she's eventually sitting up again, so.
Honestly, never thought I would feel bad for her, but there is a part of me that feels bad for her. But personal accountability obviously matters too. I don't know how she burned all these bridges, but she managed to. Mental health is no joke. I know that myself. It might not be our fault if we have certain issues, but it is our responsibility to do everything in our power to take care of them and make sure those issues aren't hurting the people around us. Obviously, it's been a long time since I put a video up on here.
Okay, this is Nadia explaining that she's been gone for a while and that she's back and she's going to make some more videos. And, glad to have you back. Hope you do make some more videos. I do enjoy the hell out of your videos. So there you go. Glad to have you back, Nadia. So my final thought on all of this is knowing what I know now, and I trust Omegon when he says that Jae Bae is suffering from sepsis. And the reason I say that is because Omegon is known for his research into things. So I trust him. And until I get something counter that, I'm willing to go with it. Now, does that mean later I may have to eat words? Yeah, that does, but it's okay. Knowing what we know about that and rewatching this video cam footage, body cam footage, knowing that, this is already hard to watch anyway, and it's already pretty clear that there's something not right without knowing that. Knowing for sure that that's what's going on, though, does make it a little more difficult. That all being said, like Nadia says here at the end, though, and as I said at the beginning, she already knows who Ramos is. Ramos already knows who her dad is. He has a phone number to call her father. Her father's already frustrated with her to the point where he's like, yeah, nah, I'm not doing squat. So this isn't a one-off. right? This isn't the first time she's been in trouble with the law to the point where they've had to call her dad to come get her, right? Some of the nurses, or at least some of the things that the nurses said, make it sound like they know who she is. So it's not the first time she's been in the hospital or something. I mean, and that wouldn't surprise me at all because she has health issues and she's talked about them. So that's not surprising either. But my overall point is, um even though this body cam footage is hard to watch, and knowing that she's suffering from sepsis during this incident does make some of the weird shit she says and some of the delusional shit she says kind of make more sense, she still has a history with these cops. They still know who she is, which means she's done shit prior to this. She's not had sepsis for years, right? So she's been a problem child before. So this is a history. This is a behavior of hers that she has had, right? So as much as I want to be like, on the one hand, I want to be like, oh, I feel bad for her because this is an incredibly embarrassing situation for one, and also really terrifying on the on the second hand, because she's not getting the help she needs pretty much because she's too big. She's too big to get diagnosed. She's too big for crisis intervention. She's too big for the hospitals to figure out what is actually happening. And then on top of it, she's being so verbally abusive that she's getting kicked out of hospitals and arrested. I mean, if you go watch Omegon's video, you will hear everything she says. And if you go watch Arrest Cam, I'm assuming you will watch the entire arrest video, and then you will get to see everything. And I will try to link that if I can find it. If I can't, apologies. But my point being, her behavior, in my opinion, is like partially the sepsis, but on the other hand, it's mostly her genuine behavior. Like, Ramos knows her. Ramos is aware of how she acts. This is not new. It's just this time she happens to have sepsis. So I do feel bad for her, and I really feel bad for her because this is on the internet and it's never going to go away. I don't know how you bounce back from this. I don't know how you bounce back from this. You just quietly fade into the background, in my opinion. But fat acceptance people are a different breed. But how do you come back from this? So I do feel bad, but on the other hand, this is a common behavior for her. It's common enough that they know her dad, they see her coming, and they're like, oh, Jesus. So, Ramos says, I've seen you walk. I know you can do it. Oh, go on. The other nurse is like, she knows what she's doing. Oh, how often is she here? How many times has she pulled this? So, all right. Anyway, that's my thought on the matter. You guys wanted to know what I thought of this. I think it's weird, but now that I know why, there you go. If I hadn't known about the sepsis before I reacted to it, I probably wouldn't have reacted to it, to be perfectly honest with you. It's clear there's something not right, just going off of the things she says. Like, I've called the FBI. There are actors trying to convince me I'm having a mental break when I know I'm not. I was kidnapped. And she says, then I was born. I mean, maybe you were born at that hospital, but you weren't born yesterday. That's a weird thing to say. It's a weird way of putting it, I guess, and then there's other things that, again, if you go watch Omegon's video or if you go watch the actual body cam, there's other things she says that you're just kind of like, that's strange to say. It's a weird thing to say. So it's clear there's something not right, even without knowing about the sepsis. But I don't know. I know there are some people who are watching this video, and I know there are some people who are like laughing at it, and there are some people who are making fun of it. And I just know that there are some people like that because it's the internet and that's how the internet works. I hope the most people who are reacting to this are being somewhat compassionate, even without knowing about the sepsis, because again, it's clear something's not right. Okay. Does that mean that there aren't some parts of us that are like, this is what you get? You know, F around and find out. And you effed around. You did find out. You know, I mean, yeah. And there is a big part of me that's like, this is what fat acceptance preaches. This is the end result of fat acceptance. Like, I know it's an extreme end result, but it's real. It's not like I'm making up a scenario. This really happened. She really couldn't get help because she really is too big for medical help. I'm not making it up. It's on camera. She can't get crisis intervention because she's 550, almost 600 pounds. They couldn't figure out she was suffering from sepsis because she was too fucking big. What do you want? How many red flags do you need? You know? Anyway, so this is not the kind of video where I want to do like, ha ha ha, funny kind of a thing. If you could leave an emoji down below, that'd be great, because I know some of you don't necessarily want to comment, but feel free to leave some kind of a related emoji down below. If you've gotten this far, because, you know, I would very much like you to interact with the algorithm. But do also leave a comment if you feel like interacting with it. Again, the sepsis thing came from Omegon's video. If you would like to go watch it, I really highly recommend that you do. There will be links down below for you to go do so. If you do comment, please leave a timestamp, because I will forget between now and then what the hell I said. Thank you to everybody who's been supporting the channel. Thank you to my subscribers. Thank you to my members. You guys rock. Thank you to everybody who's going to hit the thumbs up button. Truly appreciate it. Do go give Nadia's video a watch as well. There you go. You have homework. Go watch Omegon. Go watch Nadia. If I can find, I'm pretty sure they don't need me hyping them, but if I can find a rest cam and you want to watch the whole uninterrupted thing, go watch them as well. But I'm going to go on a limb and say they don't need me hyping them, but I'm going to do my, going to cite my sources. Go out on that limb. But yeah, go ahead and give the video a like if you could. And I think that's everything. So I will see everybody in the next video. Bye.
This is my outro music. You can't copyright strike me because it's just me singing. This is my outro music. Thank you for watching. See you next time.